Despite his refusal to admit it, President Trump's time in the White House is coming to an end, and that puts the issue of presidential pardons front and center. This afternoon, we are getting to reporting on how the president might use this power on the way out, whether he might actually try to pardon himself. Evan Perez has a scoop for us on this. And so what do you know about what the president could be thinking here?
Well, Brooke, first, the president has to move to the acceptance part of his
Right.
grief. He's got to work that out. But once he does, I mean, we were told that he's already had conversations with people close to him, some of his aides, to look into this question of exactly how much of these pardons he can do. Now, the easy part for him is that he already has talked a lot on Twitter about some of the people who were involved in the Mueller investigation, people in his campaign who he believes were unfairly targeted simply because they were with him. And those people, of course, include Michael Flynn, his first national security advisor, who's still in court trying to get out of his conviction, or rather his guilty plea, Paul Manafort, his former campaign chairman, and of course, the big question is, what does he do about his family and himself? Now, that's a big question. The president on Twitter mused about this issue in 2018. He said that he believes he has the power to self-pardon. I'll tell you that the Justice Department looked at this question back in the Richard Nixon era in 1974, and they said, quote, under the fundamental rule that no one may be a judge in his own case, the president cannot pardon himself. Now, there's a lot of disagreement constitutionally as to whether or not this would be legal, but there's another way for the president to take care of this. He could temporarily step down, and Mike Pence could act as president and give him such a pardon before the president leaves office in January 20th. Of course, Brooke, the big thing here for the president, even if he gets a federal pardon, this does not solve all of his problems, his legal issues.
New York State, right?
Right, New York State and other states could have investigations into his company. We know that those are looking as to whether or not, looking into the big questions of whether or not there was any tax crimes that were committed. So the president is not out of the woods, even if he gives himself a pardon before January 20th.
Just when you think you had covered it all, Evan Perez.
Yep, not over.
Not over. Evan, thank you. Let's talk about all that. Garrett Graff is a CNN contributor, and Ana Navarro is a CNN political commentator. Welcome to both of you. And Garrett, let's start on pardons. I mean, the president potentially pardoning himself. What say you?
I agree with Evan that it does not seem that is necessarily something that would hold up in court. One wrinkle, though, in this is a corporation pardon. We have never seen in U.S. history a corporation pardon before, but it does seem like Trump could potentially pardon the Trump Organization, and that could hold up in court if he wanted to try to wipe away some of the legal challenges that might face his presidency and his business after he leaves office.
Okay, I'm going to put a to be continued on that. We'll move on. Ana Navarro, Republicans, your party. You know, we are seeing a few Republicans emerging. Senators Grassley and Thune. You know, while saying on one hand Joe Biden should receive the presidential daily briefings, on the other they've stopped short of calling him the president-elect. Is this creative semantics? What would you like to say to these members of your own party?
Enough is enough. Look, they know. They absolutely know. There's no way you can tell me that Lindsey Graham does not know that Joe Biden is the president-elect and Donald Trump lost. Grassley knows it. Langford knows it. Everybody knows it. This is far from being Florida 2000, okay? We're talking about 4 states, and we're talking about margins in the double digits of tens of thousands. So knock it off, guys. You know, you cannot call yourself the National Security Party. You cannot call yourself the pro-military party and sit there in silence while you watch a demented, delusional man in denial just strip the Defense Department and strip the DHS department and get rid of everybody who doesn't go along with the idea that he's lost. And at the same time, you know, not allowing Joe Biden to put a team together, to have the intelligence necessary. This makes us vulnerable. And I know that they know, because, you know, I know Lindsey Graham, there's no way he can be pretending that he doesn't.
Are you talking to them and saying, yes?
Yes. Lindsey, you know, I mean, okay, it's one thing for Trump to be crazy. It's another thing to put the country in a threat, in a position of being vulnerable, in a position where an international foe can take advantage of this chaos and this lack of preparation. This is no joke. We have got to come together. We've got to make sure that Joe Biden has got his team in place and has got the intelligence necessary. And listen, it's time to unchain themselves from the albatross that has been Donald Trump around the neck of Republicans for the last 4 years, not allowing them to have their own convictions.
Stay tuned, because maybe in 4 more years, Garrett, sources are telling CNN that they expect Trump to tease this potential 2024 run when he does finally acknowledge the election results. These sources are telling us that they expect, Trump to dismiss 2020 as fraudulent, but they expect him to hint that he's running again in 4 years. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think you're right, Brooke, to look at his long-term influence on the party. Because if you look at a figure like Sarah Palin, who was also so polarizing and so inspirational to the Republicans, her peak influence in the party actually came in the 2010 midterms after she lost to Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And I think that there's a lot to augur and hint at the fact that the most MAGA-ish days of the Republican Party might actually come in 2022 or 2024. Because remember, even if Donald Trump ultimately decides not to run, there are other family members who have those aspirations. I mean, you could imagine, for instance, Ivanka Trump running against AOC in the New York Senate race in 2022. Or what if Don Jr., who in many ways has been the most popular Trump family surrogate, decides that he wants to carry the MAGA banner forward in 2024.
What is Anna Navarro, you hear all of that Garrett's throwing out, not necessarily an impossibility. Ivanka, Don Jr., that Drain the Swampiness may not have seen its best heyday until, the next couple of years. Is that possible? What do Republicans you're talking to say?
Look, I think there's no way that Donald Trump goes quietly into the good night, okay? He feeds off the rallies, he feeds off the crowds, and he's got a database of 70 million donors, and he's a marketer and a brand person at heart, and he's going to find a way to monetize that and to continue wielding influence and to continue feeding his ego with the rallies and the applause. Maybe ABC should just do us all a favor and cast him on Dancing with the Stars so he can go do his Macho Man dance and
really
still get
that?
votes. Yeah, no, I'm good with that. If they want to put all of them on there, put Ivanka, put Kayleigh, put them all on Dancing with the Stars so they can get their kicks and they can get their applause lines and they can be in the limelight and they can get somebody voting for them, even if it's, for Who Danced Macho Man or YMCA best. But I don't think he's going away. And whether he runs or not in 2024, I can tell you he's going to continue teasing it and talking about it and keep it dangling in front of Republicans as a way to keep Republicans disciplined and in line and not rejecting him. And also because he is going to find a way to make a buck out of this. Make no mistake about that. Whether it's a network or whether it's giving speeches and charging for rally attendance, whatever it is, believe me, this man is going to find a way to make a buck out of it because also he's got debts. Let's not forget that little detail.
Right. I'm still back on Macho Man, and you gave me a visual, Anna Navarro, that I'm not really happy with. So thanks for that today. Anna Navarro and Garrett Graff. Guys, thank you both so much for all of that, and I think both of you are spot on.